Welcome to the Mixed Reception Podcast. I'm your host, Barrett Sigmund, and today, very special guest, Sean Devereux. What is up?
Nothing much. I am very excited to be here. I had you on the Nerds of Comedy, so it is an honor to now be on your podcast.
Yeah. You know, Nerds of Comedy. Also, you're the co-owner of the Push Comedy Theater.
Yeah, that doesn't hold much weight in the middle of a pandemic as my crappy YouTube channel. But yeah, I am the owner of the Push Comedy Theater, or co-owner of the Push Comedy Theater.
You're a TikTok celebrity.
I am.
Yeah, you're doing the year challenge. You wear a shirt.
Yeah, I wear a different T-shirt every single day. I wore a Star Wars shirt a couple weeks ago, and the kid who played Boba Fett in the prequels liked my TikTok and my Instagram.
No shit, that's actually pretty cool, actually.
So I have that going for me.
How many days you got left of this?
Today is 240, so I have 125 days left.
Jesus Christ. And so what are you gonna do with all these shirts after this?
We've actually sold some. I gave a bunch to Rob and Abby. They've been doing these virtual garage sales to raise money for the theater. So they've sold some through there, and then the rest probably just give away to charity. Nice.
Okay, so today, so I approached you. You gave me 5 options.
Yes.
And a lot of these movies I hadn't even heard of. Now we almost went with North Shore Hijack, which is essentially Die Hard on an oil rig with Roger Moore, and I was this close to picking that one.
It is such, if you know Roger Moore only from the James Bond movies, it is such a weird movie because he is over the top misogynistic, and he's an anti-terrorism expert, and he is in love with cats. He gets paid for his jobs in cats.
Wait a minute, no, really?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, so
why didn't you tell me that? You should have said, "Hey, like he gets paid in cats." Then I would have been like, "Oh, we're doing that one."
I did. I think I said that he plays a misogynistic, cat-loving, anti-terrorism expert.
Okay. So next time you're on here, we're definitely doing that one.
Yeah.
But today we are doing Point Blank, not to get confused with Point Break. I've said every time I keep saying Point Break when I'm talking about this. But Point Blank with Lee Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of a change of pace for this podcast, because we've kind of done movies from the 80s up. And this came out in 1967, so this is kind of an older movie. It's kind of just your standard revenge tale, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like a crime thriller, kind of film noir. I guess at this point in time would be like neo-noir.
Yeah.
Thriller. I would say about 2 or 3 years ago, I started realizing that there were a ton of movies, like really good movies, that I'd never seen. So I made it my mission to start watching old movies, and I've really kind of fallen in love with it. Like, if you give me a new movie to choose from or an old movie to choose from, I'm probably going to go with the old movie.
So, when did you watch this for the first time?
I probably watched this for the first time probably about 2 years ago. And the reason why I did it is, so the character, he's called Walker in the movie, but the movie's based on a book by Donald Westlake, who wrote these series of books. And the main character is a guy named Parker. So, and in fact, there's a Jason Statham movie that came out a few years back called Parker.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you anything about it, but I actually saw it in the theater, Parker. I don't.
Yeah, it was pretty forgettable. I like Jason Statham, but it was not one of his better movies. But about 2 or 3 years ago, I got these graphic novels. There's a guy named Darwin Cook who has this very kind of retro art style, who did these graphic novels based off of the books, and they were really, really good. And then I started researching Donald Westlake, and I found out that there are some movies based on his book. So I started hunting them out and came across Point Blank, and it has Lee Marvin in it, so it's got to be at least halfway good.
Well, I was about to say, obviously, I think Lee Marvin's big movie that people probably know him the most from is The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but like I'll watch a movie, in this case, Dirty Dozen, and I'll be like, oh, this is good. And I'll just like go on a Wikipedia, and I'll just be like, oh, I'll click on all these articles and I just go through these deep dives. And I was kind of reading about Lee Marvin and like some of the movies he did. And I kind of was reading up on this one. So that's why I wanted to choose this movie, because I had always heard about it and heard it was good. And when you suggested it, I was like, well, you know what? How's it? As good a time as ever.
Yeah.
Also worth mentioning, John Boorman directs.
Yes. And this one was not a big hit for him when it came out. His big claim to fame would come a couple years later with Deliverance.
Yeah, he also did Exorcist 2.
Yeah.
The Heretic, which I've never seen. Red Letter Media did a best of the worst on it, and so I've seen clips of it. And it looks horrible. I kind of want to watch it just to see how shitty it is.
I agree. I've never seen it. And another one that he's done that I have not seen, but it is on my list is
Excalibur?
No, Excalibur. I loved it as a kid. I haven't seen it since. But Zardoz, this science fiction movie with Sean Connery, where Sean Connery wears this like,
oh shit, he did that one?
Yeah.
Oh my god, shit. Well, the third time you come on, maybe we'll have to do that one, because I've always wanted to see that one. This
Zardoz I've never seen. Ed Carden is a huge fan of it, but I've not seen it, so I want to check it out.
So we'll get into it. So I like to kind of paint a picture of what folks thought about the movie at the time. And here's the thing, like, pretty much like pretty positive across the board. I think you hit it on the head. I don't think this was a big hit. Well, from what I read, it was a bigger hit overseas, but it didn't do very well in the United States, which is kind of surprising because like Lee Marvin, I mean, he was coming off The Dirty Dozen a few months earlier, and then you had Angie Dickinson, and she was like a fucking smoke show at the time.
Oh yeah, she really was.
Yeah, and you see her naked in this movie. Well, the outline of her naked body, but we'll get to that. But anyway, so I was surprised that it wasn't a bigger hit.
Yeah, I was too. I would say that it was different for its time. It's almost experimental in the way it was shot. Supposedly, Boorman was really kind of influenced by like the new wave kind of movement that was going over in Europe as far as filmmaking. So it doesn't play like your typical gangster movie. Like there's a minute-long shot at the beginning of Lee Marvin just walking down the hall.
Oh, I got that in notes. That's a badass scene.
The airport. It really is. And all you hear is his footsteps. I mean, there's really a lot of cool stuff going on in this movie.
But yeah, just kind of, I don't know. I think this movie just kind of came and went, and that's why we're talking about it, because it has developed a cult following over the years. But
yeah, and supposedly it's influenced a lot of people. Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah, I was reading up on the movie, and he apparently like loves it. Yeah. But my first review, Nick Shager, Slant Magazine. What makes Point Blank so extraordinary, however, is not its departures from genre conventions, but Boorman's virtuoso use of such unconventional avant-garde stylistics to saturate the proceedings with a classical noir mood of existential torpor and romanticized fatalism. What do you make of that? A lot of big words in that.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of big words. I'm not quite sure I understood it.
I don't think I did either as I was reading it.
I think it's just a fancy way of saying it's not your typical gangster movie.
Yep. All right, moving on.
Okay.
That was a very pretentious review.
It was.
Pauline Kael, The New Yorker. Intermittently dazzling, the film has more energy and invention that Boorman seems to know what to do with. He appears to take the title literally. One comes out exhilarated but bewildered. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a pretty exciting movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what Roger Ebert. This is funny. It was just like the most basic review. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times. As suspense thrillers go, Point Blank is pretty good.
That's such a weird,
right?
Basic interview or review.
Well, I just clicked on, when you like see a list of reviews and they just a quick summary. That's what I copied. I mean, obviously he like wrote a review, but I just thought that was funny. Like, it's pretty good. And then I got one last one. Point Blank never makes too much sense, but the forward momentum of Lee Marvin's mysterious vendetta against the skyscraper underworld manages to overcome Boorman's laborious exposition. That was Andrew Saris from The Village Voice. I don't know. I didn't find this movie like that hard to follow. I mean, a lot of like, yeah.
I would say that the structure of the organization that he's going up against was kind of weird. Like, and again, you know what? This is more character and style over plot.
Definitely.
Like because the basic is he and his partner steal some money. His partner blackmails or shoots him, tries to bump him off, but fails. And then Walker spends the rest of the movie, Lee Marvin spends the rest of the movie getting revenge on his partner and trying to get the money that is owed from him to him from the heist that they pulled.
It is kind of ridiculous. Like, this person doesn't have the money. You got to go to this person. Oh, I don't have the money. You got to go to this person. Well, I don't have any money.
Yeah, exactly. He refuses to take no for an answer. And it was one of those things like, so when he tracks down his partner, his best friend that not only tried to murder him and rip him off of $93,000, but also stole his wife.
I know, super fucked up.
Yeah, but you got the sense that he wasn't going to kill this guy. As long as he got his money, he was going to let bygones be bygones. And the only reason the guy died is like he tripped over something and fell over the balcony.
I can't wait to get to that notes. Which, by the way, the character's name is Mallory's. John Vernon. And the whole movie, I was like, man, I know this guy. And he was the dean
in Animal House.
But yeah,
he's made a career of just playing dicks in all the movies that he's ever been in. Like, I don't think John Byrne has ever been the good guy in a movie.
Rotten Tomatoes, 92%. People, I mean, this is a classic. It's in the Library of Congress, I read.
Yeah, and it's on the 1001 movies to see before you die list.
Sweet. Metacritic 86, IMDb 7.3. I mean, yeah, like I said, cult following. Box office, budget $3 million. Box office, $9 million. I mean, I guess they made money, but I guess it just a big hit in the U.S. I don't know. That's still kind of a success, though. You can't call it a bomb.
No, I don't think it was a bomb by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it was one of those movies that when it came out, it was just kind of there.
Yeah.
And nobody really talked about it. It wasn't until like later years that people started reevaluating it and thought that it was really, really cool. So what did you think? So like I said,
I was going to say, let's get into notes.
All right. Because I'm really big into watching old movies, especially like movies from the mid to late 60s. Lately, I've been watching a lot of those. So this was in my wheelhouse. But what about you? Are you a fan of older movies?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like my dad, like he kind of introduced me to a lot of movies. I like Bridge on the River Kwai, Stalag 17. He liked a lot of old westerns, like Big Country, and just kind of just random old movies. But yeah, I mean, obviously I like the James Bond movies from the 60s. So yeah, I guess I'd say I'm a fan of older movies. I like the movie. I thought it was really good. I mean, I don't know if I would say like, oh my God, like Library of Congress. But I do think it was well directed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as we kind of said, I mean, this is kind of just a standard like revenge tale, but what elevates it is the direction and Lee Marvin. I mean, like perfectly cast. I mean, there's so many like we'll get into it, but so many like subtleties and nuances from him.
Oh yeah, he's just kind of a badass. Like
yeah. Oh wait, we'll get into it right now. I mean,
all right.
I love that scene when he well, so we're talking about he's walking down the airport with the steps, and it's kind of unsettling because the steps keep getting louder and louder, and then it's like boom, he breaks into his wife's house, and then it's the sort of like interrogation scene, but like he's not talking at all, and she's just like doing all the talking, and he just everything that he was gonna say you could read on his face.
Right, and so I read about that. I don't know. Did you read about this scene?
Oh yeah, it was improvised. Yeah. Like they actually wrote out. It was scripted that Lee Marvin was gonna say like something like interrogator, and then like he didn't even tell anybody he was gonna do this. He just did it, and they were like, oh, okay, like that this works.
Yeah, he just refused to speak, so she would have to like. I guess she did most of the improvising because she would have to kind of say his line and then give her line, which would be the answer to whatever his question would have been if he had spoken. But I think that made it so cool because if you think about it, for the first maybe 30 minutes of this movie, he only has one or two lines in the entire first 30 to 40 minutes. He doesn't really say anything until I guess he gets to the delivery guy. I guess the delivery guy. When the delivery guy shows up with the money for the wife, he asks him a couple questions. But up until that point, he really doesn't say much of anything in this movie.
Yeah. Also, too, I also like how this movie just starts like right off the bat, like bang, Lee Marvin and point blank, bang, bang. Yeah. I just thought that was really cool.
And then he gets shot. Yeah, and it's a lot of cool use of flashbacks. So they flash back to his partner, tell him that, I need you on this job. They flash back to how we met his wife. And then they keep on going, flashing back to him getting shot a bunch of times throughout the movie. And him murdering his wife's bed. That was a weird scene. When he bursts into his wife's house, knocks her to the ground, and runs into the bedroom, I guess, assuming that his partner's going to be in there, and just empties his gun into the bed.
There's a lot of weird shit in this movie. Do you remember the first flashback where she's like talking about how they met, and he's like walking down the docks with her, but like it's like all of his friends are with him, and
it's so like, creepy.
They're all like circling her. Yeah, this movie is very dreamlike, which I want to bring up this point. There's a big theory that he's dying, and the whole movie's like kind of like a dream.
Okay.
Which I can kind of buy. Have you heard this theory?
No, I haven't heard it, but I can kind of see it because
I can kind of see it too because, case in point, I mean, there's a lot of kind of dreamlike. I mean, it's very dreamlike, but also too, and maybe this was just a time jump, but I don't know. It seemed kind of weird to me. Like there's that one scene where he's like in his ex-wife's apartment or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like the next scene, it's like the apartment's completely empty. And, like sometimes when you have a dream, like there's like lapse and, like time. And I don't know. Maybe that could have just been, maybe that was like a week later. I don't know. But it just the way it was edited, it kind of seemed like, I don't know, a little bit.
It did make it, I don't want to say confusing because I was never confused, but at the same time, it does kind of play with your sense of time.
Right.
On purpose, because it was weird. So like 1 minute she ODs and she's lying dead on the bed, and then a second later he's in the room and it's all cleaned up, but also, and he's looking at the medicine cabinet because earlier he had gone in and smashed up everything in the medicine cabinet, but now the bathroom's back to normal. But then you see all these broken bottles in the bathtub. which again, the time started really jumping back and forth in this during that scene.
Yeah, and then it's like, then he's like visiting his wife's grave, and I'm like, hold on a second, like this just doesn't seem like it was like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that far in the future.
On one hand, it made it look like it was the very next day,
right? You know what I mean?
It also could have been a couple weeks' time had passed, and you're not really sure which is going on.
Well, yeah, supposedly, yeah, from what I read, like a lot of critics have like to debate that. Like, oh, is he dreaming? And supposedly, because like Lee Marvin developed this with John Boorman, because they had a script that I think followed the book closer, and they were like, this is garbage, so they threw it out and kind of just used the basic premise. But John Boorman kind of thinks the movie is like kind of about Lee Marvin's experiences in World War II, and essentially like him trying to regain his like humanity, you know.
Really?
That's what John Boorman says. I wrote it. I pasted it. But that's what he said. So I don't know. I mean, there's like a lot of different like interpretations of it. So I don't know. Honestly, I think he's alive. I just think it's a revenge story.
Yeah, I do too. But I think these are the type of questions that you don't normally ask about your typical revenge story / gangster movie.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's kind of developed this, you know, kind of resurgence in popularity, you know. But another note I had, I love the club brawl when he's like,
that is great. And the way that was shot, you have this singer who all he's doing is just yelling or screaming the entire and getting the audience going up to these old white dudes and getting them to scream into the microphone. But having that kind of intercut with the fight scene that's going on backstage was really pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. It was visually appealing because they're fighting and it's like a movie house, I guess. I think they
movie house or like some
but just like the reflection of like the, I guess, whatever
what's going on the projector.
Yeah, and then like all the colors and stuff. I just thought like, oh, this is really cool. There's a scene and this isn't that great of a movie, but it's Quantum of Solace, the James Bond movie where he's like fighting at the opera, and I was I was kind of getting like flashes of that. I was like, oh, okay, I bet like that movie probably took a page from this one. Yeah. But no, I have it right here. It says Boorman believes the film is about Lee Marvin's brutalizing experiences in World War II, which dehumanized him and left him desperately searching for his humanity. So I don't know, maybe.
I could definitely see that of the Walker character because you really don't get to know much about him at all.
No, not at all.
You see that little flashback when like he meets his wife. But again, that was such a weird scene with him on the docks with all his friends. You know, it's either a very romantic meeting or, you know, the beginnings of a gang rape. You weren't quite sure what was going on there.
I was like, what am I watching? Like this, she's about to get gang raped.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It was so weird.
But he doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't really kind of share. All he wants is his money. Like you would think, you know, when he meets the guy, his partner, Mal, who's dicked him over, he's like, you son of a bitch, you know, I'm gonna make you pay or anything like that. But he's just very cool and collected. He's like, I want my $93,000. Like, well, I don't have it. Well, you're gonna have to get it. You know, he's you know, he very rarely does he raise his voice or anything like that. But he does have like this kind of brutal side to him as well. Like that fight scene in the bar or backstage at the movie house or whatever, he punches a dude right in the dick. Which you don't normally expect your hero to do, especially in a movie.
He just wants his fucking money. He don't give a shit.
Yeah. So, you know, he's taking out one guy, and another guy kind of tackles him and stuff, and he kind of like rolls him over and just literally punches him right in the balls.
Another note I had. Okay, the whole like, so he like basically he gets his sister-in-law involved. He's basically like, hey, I need you to fuck Reese so you can unlock the door and we can create a diversion so I can get up to the building.
Yeah.
But
she goes along with it.
I think when he came in, I think they were mid fuck.
They definitely were. But it wasn't the first time. I mean, I guess she had been sleeping with him off and on to begin with anyway.
Okay.
So I guess it's not like, I mean, when you say it like that, it makes it sound really, really bad that he's kicking this girl out. But she sort of was kind of fucking him to begin with. So
okay, that's true. Man, like freaking what's his name? That guy gets around.
He does. Yeah. It even talks about it that, he tagged both sisters, like trying to get a rise out of Walker. But he doesn't, again, Lee Marvin doesn't fall for it. He's just like, okay, so you slept with my wife and you slept with her sister. Good for you.
Where's my money?
Yeah, exactly. Where's my money?
I love it. So I guess the whole thing is, I think he like kidnaps some of their men, and he's like, they like tie each other up or something. And I just like that line. He's like, that'll do fine. Now,
oh yeah, so it's weird. It's like he breaks into the apartment building across the street, and you can never really. I got the impression that he literally just kind of kicked down some dude's door,
like a random person.
Yeah, a random person's
I thought
door.
Those were their guys, the organization.
No. These were
shit.
Yeah. I got the impression that they were just two random dudes that he tied up and made, call the police so when the police show up as a diversion for him to sneak into his partner's building.
No, but that whole scene I really liked. And then, of course, it comes to a climax when he falls off.
That was kind of cheesy.
I laughed out loud. Like, oh man, special effects were just so charming back in the 60s.
Yeah, they really were. And it's weird. There is another movie that came out right around the same time. What was this? 67?
67.
Okay, so maybe I think it was 69. So and I almost put this on my list of things to watch. There's a movie with James Gardner. Did you ever watch like the Rockford Files or the Notebook? He's the old guy in the Notebook, kind of.
No, but speaking of old movies, I've seen The Great Escape. I think he's in that.
Yeah, he's in The Great Escape. He's in Maverick. He played Maverick on the TV show, and then he was in the Mel Gibson movie Maverick. But anyway, James Gardner plays Philip Marlowe. It's basically kind of a retelling of The Big Sleep, which was the what do you call it movie, Humphrey Bogart movie from the 40s. So he plays a private detective. Anyway, what I'm getting at is he gets into a fight scene with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's in this movie. He gets into a fight scene with Bruce Lee on top of a building. And Bruce Lee goes to do this karate kick and he ducks. Bruce Lee goes sailing off the top of a building to his death, which for some reason makes me think. And Carol O'Connor is in both movies. Archie Bunker's in.
Oh yeah, I was like, there's a lot of like that guys in this.
Yeah.
Movie. Mm-hmm. Like, well, I don't know, because like, you ever seen Rear Window? Like, there's kind of the same shitty effect.
When he falls out the window.
Yeah, but
Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, I think this makes it just funnier because it's like, well, not only like the black line, but he's like naked.
Yeah,
makes it like weirder. So that's a great scene.
And just a weird scene right after that of like showing the crowd reaction to this naked dead guy on the street. Like they lingered over the faces of the crowd for way longer than you would have thought in this type of movie.
I like the scene where, and this is another kind of like nuance from Lee Marvin, but like just he like whispers in the receptionist's ears to see Carter, mm-hmm. and all you need to know, all you need to see is just her reaction, and like just this guy means business. Like
Yeah, just the sheer terror on the woman's face.
yeah.
So yeah, and so I guess it's weird. So the plot is his partner needed money to buy into the mob.
Well, he owed them. I think he
owed them, and I guess this got him back in good graces or whatever. So he goes to, and he meets at the beginning of the movie. He meets with some guy. You think he's a cop, the bald-headed dude.
Yeah, I thought he was like FBI or something.
Exactly. Yeah. He says like, your partner is at such and such place. If you're looking for your money, you're going to have to go see him. So that's what sets the whole thing rolling. So his partner sends him to Carter, which is like a mid-level guy in the organization. And then Carter sends them to Archie Bunker, Carol O'Connor. What's
Brewster.
I
wrote down the names. Yost is I guess the cop, but we find out who he really is later on.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of names, I mean, this is like this organization is just so large and like, but my next,
I guess it's weird because they're pretty much treating the mob like it's like some sort of corporation or bureaucracy. Like,
right, that was weird too. I guess this is the mob. I don't really know. And what were they trying to? Was it drugs in the beginning? Were they like trying to like? Well, I guess it was money. Were they dropping?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so they're using Alcatraz as like a drop off for money or something like that. And Lee Marvin and his partner, I guess ambush the drop off. That's where they get the money to begin with. So it's weird.
Also, didn't he escape Alcatraz?
When he gets shot at Alcatraz.
Oh, that's what he was referring to. I thought this was like a The Rock situation. Like, oh, you escaped Alcatraz. Okay. No, when he got shot, he escaped. Okay.
Yeah. He lived, but then he did have to get off the island on his own. So they make it seem like he swam off of Alcatraz. Because if you remember so after that scene, the very next scene is on the ferry boat where he meets Yost.
Yes.
In the background, you hear the tour guide talking about all the people who've tried to swim off the island and have died, to make it seem like he's the only one who's ever kind of accomplished it.
Okay, making him more badass.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a good badass.
He really kind of is.
He was a badass in the Dirty Dozen. I mean, like what else has he been? What are some other good Lee Marvin movies? I've only seen the two, really.
Let's see. He's done a bunch of Westerns, like Bad Day, Black Rock. With some of the other big ones that he's done. Cat Ballou, which I think he actually sings in that one. That's a weird Western. He did a movie which I want to see called The Killers. Okay. It was like where he plays like an assassin, but it was Ronald Reagan's last movie before kind of getting into politics.
Oh shit! Okay.
And Angie Dickinson's in it as well. Paint Your Wagon is the one that he sings in with Clint Eastwood. Okay, I think Clint Eastwood sings as well in that movie.
All right, so we're gonna be doing that on the show too.
Yeah, the Big Red One, war movie.
I've heard of that. Yep.
Mark Hamill's in.
Yeah, that he's in that.
Yeah. His last movie, because he died, I want to say of cancer or somewhere. He died young. He was only like 63 when he died. But his last movie was Delta Force with Chuck Norris.
Well, what a way to go out.
Yeah. Where they're leaders of like some the Delta Force like special ops team.
To go back to notes, we got to talk about this. Chris and Walker banging. That's a weird scene. She's like turning up the stereo, and then she like hits him over the head with a pool cue stick. And then they fuck. But then it's like going back. It's like the way it's edited, it keeps going back and forth to like when he was with like his wife.
Yeah, really kind of weird. That's weird. Just a weird. She thinks she thinks he's taking her out on a date or something, and they show up at this house, and she realizes that it's not really a date. He's just taking her to this house because this is the house of Brewster, the next guy on his list that he has to take care of. And she loses it. She starts beating the crap out of him. Like there were no like fake Hollywood punches and slaps in this one, when she spends like a good minute just smacking the shit out of him.
And he just takes it.
Yeah, he just stands there and takes it. And then she has like, to continue her tantrum, she runs to the house, turning on all the appliances in the house. So he has to walk around and like unplug the blender, unplug the toaster. Just like this weird scene. This is how she's got to get back at him, is, you know, jack up the electric bill of the gangster he's trying to kill.
And then we come to the final confrontation. So it's Archie Bunker. He's Brewster.
Yeah. Which I love seeing Carroll O'Connor in movies where he's not playing Archie Bunker.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the only thing I've seen him in outside of that.
He's in a movie called Kelly's Heroes, which was a World War II movie from the late 60s, early 70s with Clint Eastwood and Telly Savalas and Donald Sutherland, where they find out the Nazis have this gold that they're hiding away. So this tank commander and his squad are in the middle of a war, are trying to steal gold, Nazi gold from themselves.
All right, I'm going to check that one out.
Yeah, Kelly's Hero is really, really good. He's been in a couple other things, but I mean, you just know him for Archie Bunker, but he's really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Like very kind of cool and collected. He's like, you know, we can work out a deal. You know, this is the new mob. We can't just, you know, we don't have $63,000 lying around in cash. You know, like I only have $11.
I was gonna say I only have like $1 in my pocket.
Yeah. But when Lee Marvin loses it and shoots the phone, it's like, what's wrong with you?
I forgot about him shooting the phone. Oh God. And I like the ambiguous ending. So we get the big reveal. Yost kills Brewster, but he's actually Fairfax, which Fairfax, I guess, is the guy who's in charge of the organization. Yeah,
I guess he was just cleaning house. Like, that's the weird thing. They never kind of say why Fairfax is bumping off all these guys or having Walker take out all these guys in his own organization.
But I kind of like that because he like leaves the package. And you're like, well, I mean, is it the actual money, or did he just do all this stuff for Fairfax? Like, and then it just kind of ends, and he just, it's like, okay, well.
It ends on a weird pan to like the San Francisco.
I found that weird too.
Yeah. Really kind of strange. Now, what did you think? Do you think the money's actually in that package?
I mean, I don't think it really matters. I think. No.
Well, I think it matters to Walker.
Well, it matters to Walker. I'm going to say no, and we should have got a sequel.
That would have been cool. I would say yes. I think Fairfax is smart enough. Like, if you see this guy that has pretty much decimated anybody and everybody that's been put in front of him, and then later finds out that you're the one who's been pulling all his strings. So then you're going to have two reasons for Walker to be pissed off at you. One, because you've been treating him like a puppet, and two, you still haven't given him his money. I think Yost or Fairfax was smart enough to leave money in that package.
You make a good point. I'm going to get pretentious for a minute. I think the pan out to Alcatraz is like a metaphor for like he's never really going to escape all the killing. You know, he's never really going to get with this life. I don't know. Those are just my pretentious thoughts.
Yeah, or maybe he did really. You know, this was all been a fever dream, and like, you know, that's the only way he ever leaves Alcatraz is as like, he dies and his kind of like spirit kind of just floats out over the bay.
Any of those are cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the cool thing about this movie. I mean, on the surface, it's like a simple revenge flick, but I mean, there's actually some layers to it.
Now, what did you think of like the assassin? So the mob has this sharpshooter who looks like an accountant. So he's on the bridge over the LA River. He takes out Carter and that other guy. And then he's the one that ends up shooting Brewster.
Carter, I think. Oh wait, I don't know.
Yeah, so Carter has the car salesman, bring money to it's supposed to be meeting Walker at the river, the Los Angeles River, but it's actually a setup. He's got this assassin who's sitting on a bridge with a sniper rifle.
Oh, that was awesome. He's like, you go out first.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the guy behind the sniper rifle literally looks like an accountant. He's got like his little suit on and he's like balding. The actor, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's like a big time character actor. He was in Hill Street Blues. He was in a bunch of other kind of movies with like never a star, but always like, your go-to nerdy looking character actor type.
So that's a good segue for trivia because initially the director was like, no, like you're not going to play the assassin. You don't look the part, but then he like kind of followed him, the director, and he was and kind of saw how he like acted out in public and stuff. And he's like, oh, this guy's kind of creepy. Like maybe he can be the assassin.
Wait, so John
Boorman like kind of spied on him. And he's like, you know what? There's something about you that's weird. I'm going to cast you.
That's weird. So yeah, so it's James Sicking is his most famous role was he played Lieutenant Howard Hunter on Hill Street Blues.
I've never seen Hill Street Blues.
My mom used to watch it all the time, so I don't remember a lot of it. I just like the desk sergeant always saying, "Be careful out there." After they would have their meeting, but
I have it right here. When James Sicking auditioned for the role of the assassin, Boorman rejected him and told him that his face was too nice for a killer. For the next week, though, Boorman would look out of his office window at MGM and see Sicking standing outside, partially concealed by a bush or a column, just watching him menacingly. The director eventually walked out and offered him the part.
Wow, that's actually kind of cool, but also kind of creepy. I guess
weird on John Boorman's a weirdo.
From what I'm starting to hear, he really is. Like you hear, like very rarely does that kind of work out for the actor involved. Like you hear Sean Young showing up on
on Batman Returns. She was Catwoman.
Yeah, exactly.
She would have been sexy.
She would have been, yeah. I always forget about that. You go look at, was it No Way Out and Blade Runner? Yeah, she was hot back then.
I got some more trivia. First major picture to film on location at Alcatraz Island after the closure of federal prison in 1963. They rented the site for $2,000 per day, plus expenses for reestablishing heat, water, and electricity to the island. So they actually shot on location at Alcatraz.
Interesting. Yeah, because Alcatraz had shut down back in
63?
63, yeah. So it had been closed down for about 4 years.
Oh, shit. Yeah, 4 years. Not that long.
Yeah.
Now, I love this piece of trivia. I love. Lee Marvin didn't think John Vernon was good for the role, as the actor wasn't strong enough to contend with him. John Vernon, as you know, is the friend.
Yep.
It came to a head during filming when Marvin punched Vernon in the stomach during a fight scene, causing Vernon to cry and protest that he was an actor, not a fighter. Vernon followed it, though, with a visibly increased energy and anger. So he made him cry.
Wow.
I'm an actor, not a fighter.
So you get this weird kind of picture of Lee Marvin where he's kind of a badass, but also kind of a dick.
Oh yeah. Well, him and Angie Dickinson didn't like each other because I guess in that other movie you mentioned, I read this too. Like, I guess there was a scene where he like held her over like a ledge for the movie, and she like never forgave him for that.
Really?
I think I don't think he like actually like held her like over the edge. I think it was for a scene in the movie, but
right.
Or maybe he's just crazy and really did that. Shut up, bitch! Give me my money. That's crazy.
And supposedly he the way they got Lee Marvin to sign on is like the studio pretty much gave him final say over everything. Yeah.
And then well, so Lee and John Boorman were friends, and Lee Marvin was like, okay, well, whatever John Boorman wants is fine with me. So also too, I know, like, as we talked about, like the movie, I mean, it kind of goes back and forth. There's like flashbacks and stuff. It's kind of a non-linear structure. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was kind of uncommon.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
And the studio was like freaking out. But because Lee Marvin had final cut and he trusted Boorman, I mean, the studio couldn't do anything about it, but they were really pissed. They wanted to like re-edit the movie, and like, they didn't like the non-linear structure.
No, I couldn't find anything
that bad. Really.
Yeah, it's not like Memento or anything like that.
Right.
Again, maybe different for the time, but it wasn't. I didn't really find it hard to follow. Like, I got everything that was going on. But
it's barely non-linear. I wouldn't even call it non-linear. It's just a couple of scenes that there's a couple of flashbacks. That's it, really. But apparently, like, the studio was just like, no, but you know.
But yeah, that's right. Because he had final cut that the studio really couldn't do anything about it. Now, have you heard anything about what Marvin thought of the movie?
Oh, I didn't really get into that. I think he liked it.
Yeah, I assume so, because they actually said that he helped compose a lot of the shots while they were on set. I just always find it weird. Like, right now over the Nerds of Comedy, we're getting ready to do Better Off Dead.
You guys heard it first. An exclusive Nerds of Comedy
with John Cusack, who.
That's a great movie. Is that the one? It really is. No, I'm thinking. What's the one where he's he's skiing? That's not the one.
Yeah, that's Better Off Dead. Yeah,
I love that movie. Oh my god!
Yeah. And he's trying to kill himself throughout the movie, but. So they shot Better Off Dead, and then the very next, and we're talking about Better Off Dead when we're supposed to be talking about Point Blank.
That's okay.
But his very next movie was with the same director, One Crazy Summer, and during One Crazy Summer, for like a party one night, they showed the rough cut of Better Off Dead, and John Cusack hated it so much that to this day he has refused to speak to or of the director.
He's done worse movies than Better Off.
So they still had half a movie to shoot, and John Cusack refused to speak to the director. So if the director had to give John Cusack notes or anything like that, he had to go through it somebody else to give John Cusack. Which, again, everybody loves Better Off Dead, but John Cusack thinks it was horrible.
What a prick!
I know.
You still gotta be professional and do a job, even if you don't like what you're in.
Which is I was wondering, because this was a very experimental movie for its time, and you kind of think of Lee Marvin as your kind of like steak and potatoes type of actor. You know, you look at his resume; he's not doing anything avant-garde or out there.
I would say he probably liked it because they developed the movie together. So I don't know. That's actually interesting. I didn't really read into that, but I would assume he liked it.
Yeah.
That little penthouse at the end where he shoots the phone. You know who owns that now?
No, who?
Drew Barrymore.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's kind of cool.
It's kind of cool. Also, we talked about this, the whisper to the secretary. That was improvised. Mm-hmm. That was Marvin's idea. Let's see here. Oh my God, this is hilarious. Okay, so O'Connor, what's his name? The guy who played you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Baxter.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so they shot his death scene, and then they were like watching dailies, and they like noticed that he was like making like laughing noises, like, and then they're like, okay, well, shit, like we got to get him back here to do some reshoots. He's basically laying on the ground like laughing in the shot, but he had already left, like he had already wrapped filming, and they got highway patrolmen to like go after him and stop him and get him back to do.
Really?
Yeah.
It is a weird death scene in a sense. He gets shot and he like falls forward onto like his he's literally like lying prone on the ground, and he like looks up. He's like, Walker, why'd you do it, Walker? I love the way he just says Walker. It's like, Walker. And then Fairfax comes walking out, and he realizes that it wasn't Walker that shot him, but Fairfax. But then he rolls over onto his back and dies. It's like, it just like this weird, it's a podcast, so I mean, the visual is not going to help, and I'm not sure who your audience is, but Ed Carden of the Pushers, we did a scene once, a sketch where he got shot, and we're in Vietnam or something. He gets shot, and he like staggers a couple times, but then he like gingerly gets down to one knee, and then like to the second knee, and then slowly gets down to like he's laying, and then he rolls over. His death scene in this took like 30 seconds, when it's, anybody else who got shot like that would have been on the ground in 2 seconds. But Ed took this long time to get down on the ground. And for some reason, Carroll O'Connor's death scene reminds me of that. He took a while getting down, and then inexplicably rolls over on his back for some reason.
They should have left the original death in. I would love that. That's all the trivia I got. You ready to get into categories?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. What's the best scene of the movie?
Wow. I would have to say that fight scene, maybe at the movie house.
Oh, that's good.
Is pretty good. What about you?
I think I like the whole like him trying to like get up to the building.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that whole thing, like that whole 10 minutes where he like ties him up, causes a diversion, and then Angie Dickinson fucks him, and then opens.
There's a great scene with that. So all these cops show up at the apartment complex across the street, and all of his partners. What is I keep forgetting his name. Is it Webster? Mal.
Mal. Yeah.
All of Mal's bodyguards are like looking to see what's going on, and Walker sneaks into the car park underneath the parking garage underneath the building, and gets in the elevator and goes up. But the elevator stops at the lobby, and the doors open up, and he's just standing there with the bodyguards with their backs to him. And just as the doors shut, one of the bodyguards turns around. So that was kind of a cool, kind of weird scene of tension going on in there.
And then, of course, it ends the best way possible with the outline of Mal's naked body falling down.
Right. But no, it goes even further than that, because he sneaks out, and as he is exiting the parking garage, one of Mal's bodyguards sees him and starts shooting, even though there's 27 cops milling around in the street. So the cops immediately pull up and shoot this guy, and you just hear him screaming. He's like, "My knee! My knee! Be careful! You got my knee! Be careful! My knee!" The guy must have said "my knee" 27 times.
All right, I'll have to go back and rewatch that part. That's hilarious. Worst scene? I don't know. Is there a worst scene?
There's
nothing I hated in this movie. That's the thing.
No, I would say probably the worst scene is the flashback scenes of
The almost gang rape.
yeah, the almost gang rape.
That was weird, but I was laughing so hard that I can't. Well, yeah, it probably is the worst scene though.
That and
So
maybe
odd.
really odd. And that shooting the bed, like he comes bursting into that bedroom so angry, and literally like just like full of rage, and empties the clip into that bed. And you can kind of see at the same time when he shoots the phone, when he's in Brewster's house and he's talking to Brewster, like out of nowhere, he just gets like in a fit of rage that immediately subsides. He like shoots the phone 3 or 4 times. And then he's back to normal, like nothing happened. I do like all the scenes with Carol O'Connor and Lee Marvin. They have this weird kind of chemistry, and Carol O'Connor, you can tell that he's scared, but he's also trying to be like pragmatic about the whole thing. And even like joking around is like, you know, Fairfax, you're not going to believe this, but I have a man here who's pointing a gun at me saying we owe him $93,000. And you get Fairfax says, well, you know, I'm not going to give you the money. It's like, that's what I told him, you know, and he's like pointing at the phone to Walker. He's like, see, I'm not lying to you. They're not going to give you the money.
Another good scene before we move on. We didn't even talk about this when he goes to the car dealership and he takes the car with the guy. That's an awesome scene. And he's like fucking the car up and shit.
That and the old seatbelt. So he puts his seatbelt on, like
that seatbelt wasn't going to do anything. I saw that. Like, man, I can't believe people wore those back then.
Yeah, it looks like the seatbelt you wear, like, you know, when you're in an airplane, right? A little kind of buckle thing. And even the car dealership guy is like, "Oh, you don't need that." He's like, "Well, you can never be too careful."
Oh, that's a good line.
Yeah.
Also, it's worth mentioning, like, he was totally cockblocking his employee, trying to talk.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, damn, dude, that's cold.
It really, and because the employee was doing pretty well.
Yeah, she was like kind of into him, but he just like kept on saying, "Oh, hey." Oh. But
he said, "I got to take this other customer for a ride, but it's only going to be 20 minutes. You know, make sure you stay here."
Yeah, she's like, yeah, okay." Worst. Okay, we already said worst scene. Did I say mine? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you said worst scene.
Yeah, worst scene. I don't know. Maybe when he's like kissing his wife after she overdoses.
Oh yeah,
that was a little weird. Yeah, no, either that or the gang, the almost gang rape. That's just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would say all those weird flashbacks with the wife, like the three of them, Lee Marvin and his wife and Reese driving together in the car, and they're all sitting in the front seat together.
Yeah,
they're in the
middle. And then I think she all but says like, well, I was fucking them both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. You stop being fun. Like,
oh, one flashback I did like. This is another weird thing. Is like when I keep forgetting his name, but when his partner is like, "Hey, I want you to do this job with me," and Lee Marvin's just on the floor, just drunk.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was another like what?
It's weird. In the middle of this party, you got these two men lying on top of each other on the floor, and Reese is talking really super loud about how they can steal all this money.
Right? I just now noticed that. Yeah, like, oh yeah, we could do it in Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Nobody will know the difference.
It's one of those things, like, up until this point, it's got to be like the two dumbest gangsters I've ever seen in my life. And I still want to know, so did they steal the money from the organization to begin with? Was the money at Alcatraz, was that the organization's money?
I would think not.
Like, that's the one thing, they never told who they stole the money from.
Yeah, the details are very scarce.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they don't really matter.
Yeah, like I said, this movie is not so much about the plot. It's just about, like, the style and the characters.
Is there a best quote? I have one. I'll tell you mine. I love this. I think it's after I keep forgetting his name.
Mal Reese.
Mal Reese dies, and then I think it's like cuts to like I think it's Carter, and they were like kind of talking about what happened. He's like, "Oh, she was the Trojan horse," and he's like, "What'd you say?" I said she was the Trojan horse. Trojan horse. You're a smart boy, Stegman. I like that.
That was, and the way he delivered that line too. He was like one of those like kind of like kiss asses in school, like know-it-alls. Like, why would you bring that up when you're getting chewed out by your boss? There was a line that I had meant to write down, and now I can't find it. The hell, something Walker says I thought was pretty good, but now I can't find it.
There's another line I liked when I don't know, when he's hooking up with Chris, and she's like, "Do you know my last name?" And he's like, "Would you know my first name?"
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it was? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a cool line.
Yeah, it's like, do you even know my last name? Which you would assume he would, because he was married to her sister.
Maybe she got remarried or something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. And they held on that for a while too. It's like, do you know my last name? And he's like, do you know my first name? And then they just hold the camera on her face for about 30 seconds where she's like, you can kind of see she almost like chuckles a little bit, but then they still hold the camera on her. I'm like, okay, we get it. That was a funny line. You guys don't know each other's names. A bunch of whores just fucking go, why are we still watching your face?
Is there, okay, well, this is a no-brainer. Best unintentional comedic moment. Well, it's when he falls off the building naked in the black line.
That I would still say shooting the bed. For some reason, shooting the bed was pretty funny. But yeah, that it was just such a weird scene, and the special effects are just kind of so bad. It's like you can tell it's like bad rear projection, and it does kind of take you out of it for a second. They do show the body there. There's a lot of blood on the ground around the body once he finally hits.
Yeah, I mean, is that yours?
Yeah, I can't think of another one that would top a nude guy falling off the top of a building.
Best performance? I mean, I think Lee Marvin. I mean, there's so many subtleties, and he...
Yeah, I would say for a character, you don't really find out a lot about him, but I mean, you can't take your eyes off him whenever he's on screen. Angie Dickinson is pretty good too. Like, I haven't seen a lot of her stuff, but she was very easy on the eyes.
Yeah, she you get an outline of her naked body in the background, but that's all we get. But still, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's all you need sometimes.
Worst performance? I don't know if I don't think anyone here in this movie is bad.
I would say maybe the car salesman guy,
I was kind of thinking
dealership guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little, I don't know, over the top. But.
Yeah. And just weird stuff. Like, he just delivered the money and he sees his boss get blown away by a sniper rifle right in front of him. But instead of like running, under the overpass or something like that, he starts running up the side. The embankment.
Strange. Yeah.
That was definitely more of you ran that way because the script told you to, not because any normal person would run up that way. I would say, yeah, he was probably the worst. Maybe the henchman screaming about his knee.
Oh my God. I need to go back and rewatch that.
Yeah.
My knee. Okay, well, we've reached the end of the podcast. So give me your score. Give me your final thoughts, and then let's rate this out of 5. You go first.
I would say I really enjoy this movie. It is one of those movies, like thinking back, it's not like Raiders of the Lost Ark where you're gonna have like all these memorable moments, and like there's not a lot of cool dialogue. There's a couple here and there. There's not a lot of action scenes. There's the car when he's crashing up the car. There's the fight in the movie house. He really doesn't get into any other fights. Oh, I guess he knocks out Carol O'Connor's bodyguard, but that's just like a one punch to the throat. And that's it. So it's not like it's an action-packed movie. But it's just your typical revenge thriller, but it's told in such a way that it makes it really kind of cool. It's not something I'd seen before.
And your score?
I would say I would give it like I would probably give it like a 3.5.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you hit a lot of that on the head. I think, I mean, I can definitely see why it has a cult following. I think this was something that was definitely different at the time, which is probably why it didn't do so well. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely see the influence it's had. I mean, I don't know if I would be like, oh my God, National Registry of Film or whatever, but I did like it a lot. I would probably go 4 out of 5. I think, yeah, I mean, we've been saying this, like it's a simple story, but the way it's told, the way it's shot, the way it's edited, the way it's directed.
You know what? This is a movie for film nerds.
Yeah, it's a little bit of style over substance, but the style is so great. And
did you watch it by yourself, or did Molly watch it with you?
I just watched. She was at work. I watched it on Sunday, and yeah, I mean, I dug it. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, this is the type of I don't think my wife would enjoy this movie. I mean, she likes gangster movies and stuff like this, but it's a gangster movie, but it's different enough that I'm not sure she'd be a fan of it.
I don't know. There's enough weird shit that Molly might like it. Like the naked guy falling off the building, him shooting the pillow. Like there's so much weird shit. That's another thing I liked about this too. Is just weird shit. Like the guys circling her when she's walking down the dock.
Yeah.
Like
I agree. There's just so many weird moments that I could definitely see Molly.
And that kind of adds to there's just weird shit in here that like okay, this is kind of dreamlike. This maybe there is something to that that theory. But yeah, good movie, good choice. Sean, thanks for being on the show.
Not a problem. And like I said, the next time I'm on, we'll do North Sea Hijack. Not a good movie, but one that you're not gonna be able to not talk about.
I looked it up.
It's so freaking weird.
It did get mixed reviews, so it's perfect, and it's not very well known. And it's Roger Moore. I love anything Roger Moore's in.
I do too. Yeah, I'm a big Roger Moore fan.
So, all right. Well, like I said, thanks for being on the show. And check out Sean's Nerds of Comedy. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks. Bye.
Later, guys.